So Spider-Man Far From Home just released in theaters, so I thought it would be a good time to rank all of the Spider-Man films again, worst to best. So let's get started. And before we get started, if you have not seen Spider-Man Far From Home yet, this ranking will contain spoilers. I'm sorry, I've been so used to saying review. Alright, so yeah, number 8 is The Amazing Spider-Man II. It's not a good movie. It's not good, it's not great, it's not amazing by any stretch. Andrew Garfield is a good Peter Parker, and I did like Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy, but Electro, Jamie Foxx was awful, and the Green Goblin looked awful in this movie. And Rhino, the only villain I was interested in, was not in it. He was in it for like 5 minutes. Spider-Man III is next at number 7. I like this movie. It's just like Venom is just so poorly done in this movie. And I just can't even process the fact that this was our first rendition of Venom in a live action movie, because we got a much better one last year in 2018. Spider-Man 2 is next at number 6. I'm probably gonna get some hate for this, but I honestly don't care for this one all that much. I don't care for it, really. Dr. Octopus is a good villain, but just I can't get into this one for some reason. Whenever I watch it, I always end up getting bored and move on to something else. And maybe that's just my taste. It's just maybe getting bored. But I don't know. This one just never really clicked with me. But I do like how they set up the next film with, his friend finding out Spider-Man. Next is The Amazing Spider-Man. This movie still holds up. I watched it yesterday night. It's a really good movie. The Lizard is probably one of my favorite Spider-Man live-action movie villains that we've gotten. Andrew Garfield is great. Emma Stone is great, like I said, for Amazing Spider-Man 2. But this movie just does something better than the second one, where it just has a certain new, fresh, almost sort of darker feel to it. But that darker feel, they had some humor in there, which is pretty good. And an overall really great story. But man, did they mess it up with the sequel, with his dad, that twist. God. Number 4, I believe? Yes, number 4 is Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. I really enjoy this one. Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin is fantastic. It's one of the best Marvel castings that we've ever gotten in a long time. At that point, obviously we've had amazing castings since then, but at the time of this movie, they had some really great casting, and Tobey Maguire is a really good Spider-Man. He's my second favorite. Andrew Garfield just doesn't do it for me. He's my third favorite. He's my third, if I ranked all of them. He's a good Spider-Man, but, I just really like Tobey and Tom a lot more. So yeah, this movie still holds up. Number 3 is Spider-Man Homecoming. I almost said Far From Home. So this movie is really good. The first stab at an MCU Spider-Man film. Sony and Marvel teamed up. I don't know why they can't do the same with Venom, but, we might get that. But this is just such an awesome Spider-Man movie where it tackles more on the high school and superhero life more than the high school superhero and romance life that it did in the Tobey Maguire films. And the Tobey Maguire films, he was already out of school. Tobey Maguire films just focused on, the romance with MJ and superheroes. Andrew Garfield focused on romance and superheroes. This movie focuses on more than that. But number 2 is Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. The animation on this movie is phenomenal. It is one of the best animated movies I have ever seen in my life, and you can quote me on that. Just all of the different Spider-Mans coming together for an epic showdown with Kingpin. In my opinion, one of the most underrated villains in the Marvel Universe. He isn't really recommended or recognized much in movies. In fact, I think this is the first movie that's really acknowledged him. Luckily we had this movie and the Spider-Man game that recognized him, and maybe we'll get him sometime down the line in the MCU, which would be great. But I love Spider-Ham, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Man Noir, Penny Parker and her robot. Just a hands-down fun, animated, lively film. But at number 1, in my opinion, is Spider-Man Far From Home. This movie takes on an enormously big premise. You know, this is Tony Stark's death. Spider-Man dealing with that. Spider-Man dealing with the world. Dealing with Tony Stark's death after Endgame and everything that happened with Endgame. The snap. And it bridges those two movies so well together. And Jake Gyllenhaal as our villain Mysterio is so good in his role. And Tom Holland kills it once again as Spider-Man. Zendaya is fantastic as MJ. Of course, we have Ned and his girlfriend in there, that little side story. We have the Elementals, which are awesome. They are awesomely done. The CGI on them is absolutely amazing. The effects, everything, the explosions, everything. You feel like when Peter is swinging through New York, you feel like you're in the video game. You feel like you're watching Spider-Man do these things in this movie. The directing was on point, and once again, it bridged Endgame and this movie so well together to wrap up the Infinity Saga in a way that Endgame could never have done. Because without Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home would have never even come to fruition and ever dealt with the emotional trauma of Tony Stark's death. That was all for this ranking of the Spider-Man movies. Let me know what your favorite is, and I'll thank you all for watching. Goodbye.